Tanch and Mandy Weldon like to share their marital bed with a third person, with unpredictable results. By 2009, Tanch has not been playing by the rules, and Mandy gets jealous. But they hope that taking a new lover, Amy Gebhardt, will bring some harmony back into the household. And the chemistry between Amy and Mandy is palpable.
They really hit it off, and it seemed to be like they were, instantly attracted to each other.
With the romance rekindled, Tanch has a special gift for Mandy's 33rd birthday.
I have something to show you.
Tanch decided to give her a present, which consisted of buying a motel room in a local motel.
But Tanch isn't staying.
He goes in with them, but then he leaves.
Mandy gets her own private sexual encounter with Amy. For Mandy, it's a first.
Tanch had broken that over the years, but Amanda had never broken that rule. And so this was something that Tanch was offering his wife.
And so Amy and Mandy slept together and obviously had a wonderful night.
As the wonderful nights continue, Tanch joins the party.
They start a regular relationship, the three of them.
The three-person relationship involving the couple and Amy evolved very quickly because it was something that Tanch and Amanda were used to.
It was just different because with Amy, it seemed not so much for Tanch as it did something for Mandy.
In just weeks, the three adults are almost inseparable. And just over 1 month after Mandy's birthday surprise, Amy parks her camper in their driveway. Then she moves into their home and their marital bed.
It was about the same time that she was having some financial problems and basically was losing the home that she had been living in.
She went back to Tanch and Mandy and said, "Hey, is there a place where I can stay right away?" They said, "Yeah, come on in." And before you know it, the three of them are sleeping in the same bed. And Amy's part of the family now. And the kids know her, call her by name. She's Amy, she's almost like another parent.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Amy is even introduced to Tanch's mother, Barbara.
Oh yeah, we met Amy several times, 3 or 4 or 5. As far as to speak to and be around, she was very pleasant. I didn't agree with it. I'll never agree with it. I never said anything, and I wished I had now. They're all adults, and they made their choices.
So, I think I told you.
Tanch is so pleased with the situation that in April, he wants to make their threesome official.
I make jewelry, so he got a hold of me and asked me to make 3 rings, one for him and Mandy and Amy.
Amy and Amanda don't know about it. He hasn't told them about it.
Tanch wanted to have a ceremony, friends, family, people over to see that this was a serious thing. In his eyes, if this ceremony were to go off without a hitch, they would all be hitched.
Obviously, it wouldn't be a lawful marriage, but he wanted to be, in his eyes, married to all 3 of them, married as one. It would have been a symbolic marriage.
There's absolutely no way that Mandy, Tanch, and Amy are all equal partners in this relationship. First of all, Mandy and Tanch are married, and Amy is not a part of that. Secondly, they have children together, and Amy is not a part of that.
And it's clear that none of them are really thinking in a cool, calm, collected way about what is best for everyone, including the children, especially the children.
Well, it's such a pleasure.
While Tanch claims his goal is to mark a deepening commitment to both women, friends think he's actually worried about losing one of them.
Amy is a lesbian. She was an out lesbian. And so certainly over time, she was going to start pulling Mandy away from Tanch. I think it was just inevitable.
Later that month, it happens. The 2 women sleep together for the first time when Tanch isn't home.
Amy and Mandy were definitely breaking the rules, or that Amy and Mandy were taking a closer bind to each other than they were with Tanch.
Tanch doesn't know about these encounters yet, but he notices a shift in the couple's dynamic.
There's definitely a power shift between Mandy and Amy and Tanch, simply because Amy and Amanda are finding it easier to be with each other. In hindsight, he probably realized that he may have made a mistake somewhere along the way, in that she was basically a lesbian and really didn't have a lot of interest in Tanch.
I think Amy tried to convince Mandy to love her and love her only.
Amanda didn't say exactly what happened. She just said that they were able to spend more time together and they just fell in love. It wasn't like they set out to do that. She didn't mean for it to happen necessarily, but she had fallen in love with her.
Now, the only obstacle to Amy and Mandy being together is Tanch.
The real truth is, if two women are truly sexually interested in each other, they usually don't have a lot of use for the guy, at least not for the long haul.
When two people live together, in this case, it was Mandy and Tanch, they build a power dynamic. When you bring in someone else, in this case, Amy, everything has to shift around. Roles get changed, and so there's a shifting going on at this point in their relationship, and we don't know where it's settled yet, and we don't know how it's going to work out.
The situation comes to a head during a weekend-long party at Tanch and Mandy's farmhouse.
The party was where the downward spiral really started.
Everybody was at the party. Everybody was having a good time.
The guests have drained the better part of 6 kegs in the barn.
All of a sudden, Tanch and Mandy disappeared. And I asked somebody, I says, well, where's Tanch? And they said that Mandy had taken him down to the creek, that she had let him down there to talk.
Come back here!
As night falls, Mandy confesses her true feelings about Amy to Tanch.
What's going on?
She and Amy had fallen in love, and that she was thinking about, leaving him.
I have real feelings for Amy, Tanch.
Essentially, Amy and Mandy wanted to be together alone and no longer include Tanch.
A huge argument erupted. It caused a lot of chaos. He made it quite clear that he wanted this relationship to work.
That's really when the anger in Tanch really surfaced, and it really came to a head that night.
Well, Tanch stormed off. He went to the house and he locked the door.
She broke in. Somehow she got in.
I think some people actually thought he was going to shoot somebody. I think some people might have thought that he was going to shoot himself. Others thought he was going to shoot Mandy.
And she basically had to talk him down, and it took quite a while, I think.
Sit down.
Bitch, screwed everything up.
Sit down.
Passions simmer down by dawn, when everyone sobers up.
When the sun came up, it was like nothing happened. After the party, things returned to normal. Tanch, Mandy, and Amy are, a three-way couple again, and life is normal.
Tanch seems to continue his relationship with Amy and Amanda. He doesn't treat Amy any differently.
But beneath the thin veneer of normality, something has changed. Tanch tells friends and family that the girls are turning against him.
He was telling some of his closer friends, I'm getting a little worried about the Amy-Mandy situation.
He was king of the castle before this, and it was definitely different. He was lost. He felt like he was lost.
The first phone call was, Mom, Mandy and Amy told me that they're going to sleep in our bed and I could have one little corner and just deal with it, leave them alone.
He was belittled. They knew that he would be there no matter what, and they acted like it, and they broke him in a way.
The next phone call I received, he told me he was very upset again, crying, and told me that Mandy and Amy was going to leave and take his kids. But he talked them into staying, but the only way that they would stay is if they could do whatever they wanted, and he was not involved.
I think it's the ultimate irony where Tanch thought that he could have his cake and eat it too, have two women to have sex with, to live under his roof with him and with his kids, and it would all go fine. And then it ended up that he was the one that got isolated.
The foundation of this very relationship was a recipe for disaster.
Tanch becomes increasingly desperate.
The next phone call I got, he said, "Mom, I got a plan." I says, "What's your plan, Tanch?"
I'm gonna ask Amy not to sleep with Mandy for a month and
To see if Amy really does love her or not.
The next phone call from the house is not to Tanch's mother. It's to the police.
The 911 call was terrifying, screaming. It was hair-raising.
Tanch and Amanda Weldon invite Amy Gephardt into their home and their marital bed. But Amy is not the solution to their marital problems. Far from it. On a June afternoon, a frantic woman phones Iowa County's dispatch service to say there's a shooting in progress.
911, what's the location of your emergency? 1040 L Avenue, there's been a double shooting! Ma'am, I need you to calm down. What is the address?
It's a female just screaming for somebody to get here right away. It was very difficult for the dispatcher to really figure out what really had happened.
The relationship between a married couple and their lesbian lover ends in tragedy. Amy Gephardt is shot dead. Tanch Weldon is on life support with his jaw blown off, which his wife Mandy claims is a result of a botched murder-suicide.
When we processed the scene, we found that there were 3 rounds of shotgun fired. One of the shells was used to shoot Amy.
The other 2 were directed towards Tanch.
We found the holes in the ceiling where those stray shots that had hit him in the face had gone up through the 2-story house into the ceiling.
While the murder weapon belongs to Mandy, there are 2 sets of fingerprints on the gun, Tanch's and Mandy's. So who fired the fatal shot that killed Amy? And who shot Tanch?
It was determined that the fingerprints that were left there by Tanch were left there in the same fashion that you would expect them to be left by a person who was holding and controlling and firing the weapon.
Mandy's fingerprints tell a different story.
The fingerprints that were left there by Mandy were in the wrong direction. She was actually pulling the gun away from Tanch, trying to stop him from firing the weapon again, and it was completely consistent with the story that she had given us.
Tanch is charged with Amy's murder as police piece together the events of June 7th, 2009.
Tanch had some friends over, got off work around noon, and went down to shoot some guns with his buddies. They were drinking beer. There were empty kegs in the nearby barn. Amy and Amanda came back. They had been out of town seeing some family. Obviously, when they were gone, some agreement had been struck between Amy and Amanda to confront Tanch about this. And almost right away, Amanda went down to tell Tanch that Amy and she were going to leave him. But they were going to move into Amy's camper, and they were going to move away from Tanch.
Tanch sees this. Now it's no longer a story, it's real. He's seeing it unfold.
Mandy, I'll change.
They broke him down. He dropped down to a knee. He begged Mandy to stay, and he was very upset, vividly emotional.
When the fight starts to brew is when those friends leave because they're realizing something's happening here and we probably need to leave them alone.
Tanch is furious. He storms out of the barn and into the house to confront Amy.
And abruptly, Tanch got up. He went in the house, he closed the door, locked the front door.
Mandy tries to follow Tanch into the house.
She couldn't get in the door because they were locked, so she went to a nearby window.
And she's looking through the window and she sees Tanch inside and Amy, and they seem like they're arguing.
Tanch sees Mandy watching them through the window. He turns to her, and while she can't hear him, she can read his lips.
Good, I want you to see this.
And then he left the room.
What is going on?
Had it gone the other way around, that she opened the window and came out, rather than having Mandy come in to continue the discussion and the confrontation, may have been a different story.
I don't think that Amy knew the danger of it. I don't think either one of them knew what was coming at all.
When Tanch returned, he had a gun.
It's Mandy's gun, cocked and ready to fire. Now Tanch has something else to say. And this time, Mandy can hear his words crystal clear.
I can't have her, neither can you!
He shot her directly in the heart and just exploded her heart with a shotgun.
It just goes crazy, and then Tanch takes the gun and shoots himself in the jaw.
Does it again. This is while she's trying to basically fight the gun out of his hand.
The greatest tragedy is that Mandy's not the only witness.
The oldest child did witness the murder, basically.
He immediately knew that his daddy had shot Amy, and he knew that daddy shot himself too.
4 weeks later, Tanch Weldon, now 39, stands trial for the first-degree murder of Amy Gephardt.
The defense never tried to say that it didn't happen, never ever tried to say that Tanch didn't do it. Their defense basically was that Tanch was too intoxicated to form premeditation, to understand what he was doing and to control himself.
He hadn't planned it, he didn't mean to, it just happened.
The prosecution argues that his heavy alcohol consumption means his tolerance is extremely high.
The fact that he drank excessively every day of his life would indicate that drinking that day was really no different.
Tanch didn't choose Amy's murder weapon at random.
And he could have grabbed a 12 gauge, a 20 gauge, a 410. But I think the fact that he was using Mandy's gun really told us that he's actually thinking about this.
And the fact that he would use that gun that he gave her and kill Amy was very powerful.
Tanch and Mandy, from the very beginning, lived a partying lifestyle. And then something serious happens, like Amy and Mandy going off together. Boom, it's like a giant smack in the face of reality that Tanch never wanted to see.
I think they continually found extraneous things like partying and alcohol and third-party sexual participants to focus their energy on instead of each other. And it worked for a while, but that never is going to last in the long term.
The trial grips the tiny community, who only now find out what really happened that day.
The fact that Tanch appeared to love his wife so much that he tried to take away her lover, who was also his lover, and himself to punish his wife for trying to leave him, was a very interesting tale.
When this altercation happens with the three of them that Sunday, I think Tanch felt like he wasn't in control, and it's every emotion coming to surface for Tanch at that moment.
All I can say is, as a married man, you know, if you love someone that much, it would at least cross your mind in that situation, you know, if you love someone that much. But if I was in his shoes, you know, I might have done the same thing.
Tanch didn't want to kill Amanda. This was his punishment, was to take them both away from her. But he was going to let her live the rest of her life. But as for how he didn't pull off his own suicide, I don't know. I think it's somewhat miraculous, honestly, that he lived.
After 5 days of deliberation, the jury comes back with a guilty verdict for first-degree murder.
Tanch was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
My heart just broke. Not into 2 or 3 pieces, but into a billion. I did not believe that they could come back and say he was guilty. Could not believe that.
Tanch reacted really oddly. When the verdict came in, he didn't have any reaction. He showed no emotion whatsoever. He might have been resigned to his fate at that point.
Tanch's mother continues to believe in his innocence.
There had to be something else that happened, like him and Mandy arguing over the gun, and the gun accidentally went off and got Amy. They was playing a deadly game. So it wasn't all him, you know, it was all of them together.
What strikes me about this story is how truly sad it is, because for a couple that started out only seeking what they viewed as happiness and joy, there is no one that is ultimately happy.
What happened here is Tanch's own sexual greed, so to speak, ended up coming back to bite him, leaving him feeling betrayed and angry and hell-bent on making sure that Mandy and Amy didn't get to have happiness to the exclusion of him.
In August 2012, an appeals court upholds Tanch's conviction. His children visit him in prison.
They love their dad. They go see him every other weekend. They wouldn't want to miss seeing him hardly for anything.
You know, they've done the best they can with a really bad situation, and they're doing pretty good.
Mandy still lives in the community.
Mandy's reaction to this was every bit as sad as, I think, as if she would have been the person who had gotten shot. I think part of her really died that day.
Amanda was, obviously well-liked in the community, so people went to the courthouse to support her. She left the courtroom and didn't move out of town. She's still part of the community.
Amy Gephardt is deeply mourned by her family.
Amy's parents released a statement after the verdict was read, and essentially they said, there's no winner here. At the end of the day, we lost our daughter.
Amy was their only child, so this was, a terrible loss as it would be for anybody.
Amy's gone. Mandy's living her life. And Tanch is in prison for the rest of his life. He's not a murderous monster. He's not. He is a man that loves his children, still loves his wife. He tells me that all the time. He says, Mom, I do not know how to stop loving her.